welcome to the Breakdown Podcast with me, Logan Welliver, and our other really good friend, Brandon Miracle. Hello,
That's
Brandon.
me. In the words of Conman RDW, it's time. Or Mighty Keith, it's time, boys.
So, it's been 2 weeks since we talked about all this stuff. So, I feel like, man, 2 weeks is a lot of time for things to happen, you know? A lot of things can happen. So, Brandon, tell me about how have you been? What's been up?
Well, I've been trying to focus on my health a little bit more. Obviously, being a type 1 diabetic, that's something I should always be doing.
Probably.
But I'm paying more attention to more specific things. Portion control, how much I'm actually eating. And then on top of that, I've been playing Beat Saber almost daily, trying to burn at least 500 calories before I quit. And I've felt better than I have in years.
Oh, good.
My blood sugar control is out of this world for me. Like looking back on my 2-week blood glucose average, it was like 123 or 124. And on as far as the A1C is concerned, which is a 3-month average of blood glucose for a normal person, it's between like 5.5 and 6.0. Healthy for a diabetic is 6.5. At 124 average for 3 months, that would put me at like 5.85.
Oh.
Which is a number that belongs to someone who does not have diabetes.
Right. So it's it's almost like you're not a diabetic.
I'm slowly achieving that. Yeah, my insulin use is dropping. The effectiveness of the insulin per use is increasing. It's been really nice, and it's put me in such a better mood because I'm not worried about myself as much anymore.
Yeah.
And getting through the first 2 weeks was really important to me because, it's really easy to fall off this kind of stuff.
Right.
But I've been keeping it up.
You need time to like develop a habit, right?
Yeah. But I'm actually a little more than 2 weeks deep, but I'm still doing it, and rearranging this room certainly helped me with that because now I have a lot more room to play with the Vibe, which is sitting right there. Yeah, Conman, it's time to gain. I'm ready. I'm actually getting some definition in my arms, which is really cool. I noticed it after like the first 9 or 10 days.
Oh yeah, Beat Saber will do it to you.
Yeah, I've got some defined muscle in my arms I did not have before. So I'm enjoying that. Maybe I'll slim down. I've cut my calorie count down quite a bit. So that coupled with, was it like 3,500 calories burned per week?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to lose maybe a pound or 2 a week. And just keep
man.
that up.
I mean, that's all you really need to do. That's at least the start, right? It's like you to get a little more exercise, eat a little bit less, you know.
And it feels like it's going a long way, and I'm finally happy with myself for now.
No, I feel that I've definitely been more active as of late, and I think on average, like I am in a better mood, right? Like I'm just, I started this new AV job. I started, just constantly moving things around at work. I'm not sitting around all the time at home, trying to make sure that I stretch a little bit more, and the same thing, like eating a little bit less and making a little bit better choices, and it does make a difference.
And it's interesting because like I've focused mainly on portion control. I'm not concerning myself so much with what I'm eating because that adds a layer of complexity that I think would dissuade me from doing it.
Right.
And obviously, like, this is something I can tackle more over time. But like, if I feel like I want to have Subway, if I don't eat Subway, that feeling is just going to get worse. But so when I go to Subway, instead of having a foot long, I'll just have a 6-inch.
Right.
And that satiates me. I don't go to bed hungry. I don't feel the need to eat. Um, yeah, so it's I think it's all putting me in the right mindset, but I'm not against going out somewhere. Like my wife and I went um to a tavern near our house because we've had a gift card for like 2 years that we didn't use.
Yeah.
um and so I was there to spend money, obviously, because that's what you do when you go to places like that. And I got myself a hearty meal, and I didn't feel bad for it because you know what I did afterwards? I came home and I played Beat Saber for an hour.
Yup. God, it's amazing just how, like, if something you really really enjoy is also something that's relatively good for you, the fact that you're getting up on your feet and you're moving your arms with Beat Saber, that's like, I can't describe just how much enjoyment like I get out of something like Beat Saber, and just because
So
it's like
good.
all of that at once, right? Because you're actually getting exercise, which is good for you.
It's so interesting though, because like you're so laser focused on doing well at the game that being tired, like when I start getting tired or winded, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just like, I gotta
Mm-hmm.
keep up the high score. It puts me in a mindset that I can't quite get in, just being on a treadmill or going for a
Yeah.
run. So this is something that works for me, and the Beat Saber devs are doing research into how to make this game more like fitness forward.
Uh-huh.
And that's exciting to me because like this is my choice so far.
Right, right.
And I read a blog too about a woman who did Beat Saber for at least half an hour a day for a whole month. And she came back with really good results. And obviously it's not going to be the same for everyone, but
Right.
so far it's having a good impact on my life, I think. But what have you been up to?
Well, in addition to not playing Beat Saber, I I've been focusing quite a bit on my music. Um, both these past weekends, I had engagements. I played a show, and then another one was a recording of a song with a video. So, it's happening increasingly often where I find myself doing productive things, right? So even a year ago, when we really started really got going on this channel, it's like I wasn't doing that before. Like I was doing less than that. And now I'm
Yeah.
doing more. And I'm taking more time and I'm putting things together and we're presenting ourselves, attempting to inform, to educate, to entertain, all of that above, to engage people, for what we feel like is something we not only want to do, but that would be a net positive, in the world, right? And like if I didn't just start doing a little bit, I wouldn't be doing anything.
Yeah.
And then that increases and you learn to take care of yourself better, and it all snowballs.
Yeah.
It's just about really like keep up the base and just do a little bit better, and it over time that's huge.
Yeah, these little things I've been doing for myself, for my health, have also had a positive impact on what's going on here on the channel. And also, I guess as a reverse snowball effect, like there have been some pretty positive things that happened on the channel in the last week or two. That's also affecting how I, work on myself with my health. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy right
Yeah.
now.
And I think it's something, it's important to keep in mind that like there are a myriad of metrics by which you can measure success. So like we had some certain victories before and that was really encouraging, and now we have different victories, things that we've progressed in, things that we've achieved, that we've gained along the way. you know, and that's so valuable. And it really helps us form who we are and how we present ourselves.
But we do have a little bit of housekeeping to do before we get into the show.
Yes, we do.
We do have a link to our Patreon in the description below. If you love listening to this show as much as we love, doing it, you can donate as little as $1 a month. But I do want to take a minute to talk about the tiers on the Patreon as they are right now. We're going to be changing them. Obviously, they're a little outdated, so some formatting has to be done. But we will work on that probably over the next week and have a more concise and more updated set of tiers for that. So be on the lookout for that. I will update you guys on Twitter as well as in the Discord server when all that's done. Speaking of the Discord server, let's see. What channel do I want to feature today? Do you have a channel you want to feature, Logan?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's the one that's just the most active, right? When everybody, the most active channel, I think, is probably the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate channel.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are always going, and there's always speculation of, when's Piranha Plant coming? What else are they going to add to the game? Who are the other fighters going to be? All the memes in the world. So,
hi, Raymond.
It's a treat to pop in the Discord and discuss
and there's
that kind of stuff.
And there's like people setting up matches all the time. We were gushing about how it's going to be so much fun to play Smash with the people in the Discord server, and that's been actually happening, and a lot, really frequently too. You can just pop in there and be like, "Hey, someone want to play Smash?" And the chances are someone's going to want to play Smash.
Yeah, man, and going along with that progress thing, like, this wasn't happening, a year ago. It's small, but it's something that's just kind of, it worked itself out. Like, we just kind of put it out there, put ourselves forward, and just find people to play games with. So that's why we have the Discord in particular. The link is in the description below.
Sandman matches have been pretty good lately. Me and Sandman, I think we got a bit of a friendly rivalry going on.
Oh, good.
He and I, like, when we fight, like, it's a straight up scrap. Like, you never know quite who's going to win in the end. So I've been enjoying that a whole lot.
Yeah.
Some videos that are going to be on the channel. Well, I guess first, let's talk about some videos that are already on the channel. If you didn't see it, it's been a week or two now since the Power A wireless controller for Nintendo Switch, Nintendo GameCube style video came out.
Mm-hmm.
So you can listen to what I have to say about that controller. In short, I think it's great. And to be completely honest, I haven't stopped using it since I finished the review.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the mark of a good product. Like, if you just want to keep using it.
I'm honestly surprised, like, at how quality that controller is.
Right. I think, watching it, I was curious about this, but, you kind of answered all my questions in the video. But just the fact
that was the hope.
Yeah, just the fact that it has all the functionality,
of a Pro controller,
right? But then you still got that, GameCube shape. Like, that's pretty enticing,
Like I say in the video, like, I used it to play Splatoon 2 for a while, and I was really liking the GameCube controller for Splatoon 2. Like,
right.
I honestly would probably continue to play it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead and check that video out. We will have a video coming out next week. Logan, if you want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah, so we have been working...
I don't know if we can say when, but we can say
we've been working pretty hard to, make ourselves known and make ourselves present, and also do some more reviews of some games. Am I allowed to say what game it is?
I don't know. We're still new at this.
I think either way, I'm just going to keep it to myself.
Yeah,
we'll
that's fine.
We'll figure it out down the line. But there will be a game review coming relatively soon. It's weird to have to deal with something such as an embargo, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of new territory for us.
Like even having like a little bit of a conversation just between you and me, and just, oh wait, no, we can't do that.
Oh yeah, like when you, I had like a little mini freak out at my desk. I was like, wait, no, don't do that.
So I think it'll be fun. It'll also be fun because, like, you know, it's not often that like you feel such an urgency to be, oh, play this game and review it, right? And there's like some sense of responsibility tied to it besides like I want to do it, you know.
Right. I mean, we've done reviews before, but there's a certain urgency that comes along with it. And obviously we want to turn this whole production into our jobs one day. And this is just a step in that direction, and it's really motivating.
Yeah.
So you guys keep on the lookout for that next week. I think it'll be a good time, and look out for more in the future because we're not stopping there.
But I mean, we don't just play video games here. We mostly do video games, but today we also like to get all the other stuff off of our chest. And I know there's quite a bit. We got some TV shows, some TVs. I'll just go through mine. Mine are pretty quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Them more packed. I've been rewatching Bob's Burgers. You know, that's become my new it's time to go to sleep show. Used to be
comfort show.
Yeah, right. Used to be Futurama. I still go back to Futurama every once in a while. You just gotta let it breathe, right?
Yeah.
But man, Bob's Burgers is just absolutely excellent. Like especially
extreme drop.
Especially in those like early seasons. Like it's really well written, and I think the absurdity of it comes with the fact that you have these parents and they're struggling to make like ends meet and struggling to pay rent, and but then they have 3 kids they have to support, and the kids have like not a care in the world, right? They're just like, okay, let mom and dad handle that stuff and we're going to do kid stuff. But then like even the characters, like the personalities of the characters, like Gene is like really airheaded. And he just says some really dumb stuff, but then like it's great. And then Luis is like the mastermind, and Tina's like obsessed with boys and also terribly shy. It's just a really, really good dynamic, especially when like the oldest child is like objectively the one with the least backbone. So she gets bossed around by Luis, who's the youngest, you know? It's
Drink Drop says, when you explain Bob's Burgers the way it sounds, exactly like the funny, stupid parts of my childhood.
Yeah, man. It's
it's I'm really close to like pulling the trigger on the show finally.
I cannot recommend it enough. Like, I mean, I think you really would like it. Now my bigger victory is if I can get you to watch Futurama.
Futurama's been on my list for a long time. Yeah. So like So when I say pull the trigger, I mean like to add to the list of things I'm going to watch.
Right. Okay.
Because I don't know what it is, man. Like it's so hard to just pull the trigger on a show to like actually watch it, or like a movie, specifically from a recommendation from somebody else. I don't know what it is about that.
Yeah. Well, and that's funny because like I find it constantly that I'll sleep on something, right? And then like my friends will pester me, and then I'm not gonna like it that much, right? I'm just not gonna like it that much. But then you do, right? I think what did that happen? That happened with Shokugeki no Soma. I was Riverdale. Like, nah. Riverdale was another one. Hannibal was another one. Just like tons of things, or even like albums. Like I'll discover albums and like, you know, talk to Jake, and Jake will rip on me. He's like, I told you about this like 2-3 years ago. And you're just now getting to it. The amount of times people have told me like, oh, listen to Jeff Buckley before I ever listened to him, you know, well, but I digress.
Like, the thing is like, you have to be ready to, you have to put yourself in the right mindset in order to take that step, watch it, judge it for what it is.
Oh yeah.
and not, feel like you're forced into it.
Yeah, you also, I mean, different things also have different contexts for enjoyability, right? So it's
Yeah.
like you don't watch a movie like The Room alone. Like you watch that with friends.
I think watching The Room alone would probably be a sad experience. If there are people out there who like to do that, I'm not ripping on you. What's Daniel Sloss Dark? What is that?
That is a stand-up special.
Oh, okay.
If I can't recommend it for younger viewers, definitely. But
gonna put a big old PG-13 stamp on that.
Yeah, but I thought it was like just really solid, really well written, really well performed. If you've ever heard me gush about Mike Birbiglia's special, My Girlfriend's Boyfriend, like I adore that stand-up special like nothing else. It was like the stand-up special that made me believe in comedy. I was like, comedy, wow, stand-up comedy, what an art form, right?
That was like a transformative experience.
It really was. It's really, shout out to Johnny, because he's the one who turned me on to Mike Birbiglia and just
I love you, Johnny.
And just good comedy in general. So I came across a Facebook post that featured Daniel Sloss and realized it was a Netflix original. I went and there was like a set of 2 of them. I haven't watched the second one, so I watched the first one titled Dark. And needless to say, it was pretty dark, It was a lot of like...
It wasn't lying.
Like he would constantly address like, oh, what I'm saying here, in part is because I want to get a reaction out of people,
Yeah.
I want to be a person who like offends you, but then I'm going to make a point in it, right? And so it kind of felt like a sermon of sorts, right? Where it's like you get like people who are like, oh, that was an edgy joke, that kind of reaction. And then
so it's not just shock for the sake of shock.
Yeah, like he was making a lot of really good points. And it felt really, really honest. And then when I say well performed, like, oh my gosh, like just it got funnier as time went on. Like some of those jokes that would have hit you that you're like, ooh, that made me really uncomfortable, right? He would just continually address it, and it's like, why are you getting offended? Who are you getting offended for? And by the end of it, you found yourself like laughing at these things, and then like just feeling like, oh, like I think he just like convinced us, that like, and obviously there's going to be different reactions to it, and he always anticipates that. Not everybody's going to like hear exactly what he's wanting them to hear. They're just going to hear something and walk away.
Yeah, but you're going to get that with anything.
Right. So
Dream Drop's saying, is Logan trying to make a recommendation on something dark? Not today, Xehanort.
Oh, okay.
That's a little Kingy Heart humor for you.
Yeah. I'm anticipating quite a bit of Kingdom Hearts in my face for at least the next few weeks.
That's if I even come back online after tonight.
Yeah, we'll draw.
I might vanish for a while. I'll be on the podcast. I'm gonna help you with that video. So
yeah, I'm also.
Sorry, Conman. I don't stream story games for personal reasons.
I need to finish the first Kingdom Hearts.
Maybe you could stream Kingdom Hearts if you're down for that.
I might be able to. I feel
that might be the way you get through it.
Well, that's what I've been thinking. Like a lot of the times, it feels like a lot more like appropriate to just play games online. Just keep streaming, keep things going, have some conversations. And I really enjoy playing games that way.
I will say, I would do a New Game Plus. Like, for me, like
right, but that streaming, first time through, right?
Yeah, because that's like a personal experience, right? Like this is for one thing, it's Kingdom Hearts 3, and like this is a big game. People have been waiting for this, and the internet is a volatile place right now in terms of the plot.
Yeah.
So don't want to risk that kind of thing,
Well, maybe here's what I'll do. I'll do something really stupid and daring. I will go out and buy Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'll just start playing it and just wing it.
Hey, there's that 20-minute recap video at the start.
Oh, is
It'll
there?
catch you up to speed. Yeah, there is.
Oh.
It gets you up to speed.
just skip Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2. All the other, who needs it? If there's a recap, man, I'll just start playing Kingdom Hearts 3.
Hey, man, there's a few in there I actually want you to play.
Okay, but let's bring it back just a minute. Kind of got off on a tangent.
Yeah, we did.
So outside of that comedy special, I also watched a little bit of Riverdale. Watched a few episodes of the third season, and it's heating back up again. You know, there's always that short little calm at the end, like the final episode, like they did it, woo! And then they're like, oh wait, no, we're gonna start off like right off the bat, you know, swinging, taking people down. Putting people in horrible situations.
You're telling me.
So many strings being pulled at once. It's just, I'm like, oh no. And I think that's the beauty in it, right? And I think that's also what a lot of people scoff at with this show, is that
that's the fun part.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. But some people are like, oh, it's so over dramatic. But like, man, it's trying to be. Like, it's so self-aware. Like, at this point, like, it almost feels like satire, you know?
I know, like, you see people who complain that it's like taking the Archie name and like rubbing it in the dirt, but like the more I watch this show, the more I realize this is the only way that you could turn Archie into whatever this is, right?
I mean, you just think about it. Like, there's probably some really cheesy stuff in comics, but nobody bats an eye. Like, that's part of the charm, right? And so it's essentially like, oh dude, we're gonna go like really hard on like how dark it is, but then there's gonna be those like really light-hearted moments where, like, I don't know, like Betty and Jug are together and they're just hanging out and being all lovey, and you're like, okay, I'm down with this. And then the next moment, like, somebody's being shot, and then there's gang wars, and then there's like big moneyed interest buying up the town. It's like, what the heck? It's all happening at once.
There's Jingle Jangle going around. The name Jingle Jangle. This show doesn't take itself seriously.
Riverdale is underrated, hands
down. It really is. For all like the naysayers from like the Archie standpoint, if my first point didn't work for you, right. There's a comic out there, like an official Archie comic about like Riverdale in the zombie apocalypse. Mm-hmm. What's the problem? Like, this kind of content is out there already.
Right. Well, at least we have learned to enjoy it, right?
Oh yeah, I love it. Like, I eat it right up.
This definitely was a curve for me because I avoided this, right? There's so many like, I don't know, opinions, and then like, you know, there are certain shows that tie really closely with certain demographics. Yeah, and that can sometimes carry some, you know, weight to it, and so you're. And
like, that's
whatever.
Not to say that Riverdale doesn't know its demographic, because obviously it does, but it's not playing to it exclusively.
Right. Yeah, I'd imagine there's less like white men than just females in general, right? Percentages who are gonna watch like Riverdale.
So yeah, obviously I've been watching Riverdale. I'm caught up, so I'm not gonna really get into the plot. I'll let you catch up and we can start talking about that. In addition to that, I've been watching the current season of America's Got Talent on Hulu. It's like, I guess it's the champion season. They're bringing back people who have either won or have been like in a show that did really well. And I haven't watched America's Got Talent for like 5 or 6 years. So I'm seeing a lot of these acts for the first time.
Right.
And obviously they're all acts that are really good in the first place. So watching the show is just like, oh, it's all good people who are already established that know what they're doing, putting on a show. Right. And that's pretty fun. You know, I've been thinking about it. I was listening to Ear Biscuits today, you know, Rhett and Link's podcast, and Link got on a tangent about Survivor and just like how game-changing these reality TV competitions were. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, they really did change the game. Obviously, in a lot of ways, they're a little phoned in these days.
Right.
In certain aspects, especially in the presentation. But that said, there's still a good time. Like I remember loving Survivor. That's just something me and my dad would do. We'd watch
Yeah.
Survivor and we would talk about it while it's playing. We'd predict what's going to happen next.
I never really watched Survivor. I do remember watching quite a bit of Fear Factor, though.
I loved Fear Factor as a kid.
Yeah, man. It was always like, it just made you just uncomfortable enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's the classic, like, you get in a tub of, like, cockroaches.
Oh, yeah, they did that a whole lot.
And it's funny because, like, that's not dangerous, really.
No. A lot of the things they used to do on Fear Factor are things I watch Rhett and Link do on Good Mythical Morning on a daily basis.
And they're just okay, let's go for it.
So yeah, I think they tried to bring that show back, and it didn't. I don't think it panned out as well, did it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I know it came back. If it went, I didn't know that it went anywhere. That's just how, like,
it's on Hulu right now.
Oh no, I know it's on Hulu, which I think is great because I started watching a few episodes like a few weeks ago
of the new Fear Factor.
No, I started watching some of the old stuff with
okay.
Joe Rogan. Yeah. I
might have to check out some of that.
It looks like it's still running.
Okay. So
maybe oh my god, there's a second revived series.
Oh no.
So they had it from 2001 to 2006. Then a run from 2011 to 2012. That looks like just a season.
Wow.
Yeah, the revived is 2, and now it's on MTV, and it's been running since 2017. Yeah, they're still making it. Oh,
wow.
Man.
Okay, well that's good. Obviously, that's probably a good sign now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been enjoying that with America's Got Talent. It's nice to just kind of have like a weekly thing to watch, but that's like also actively happening,
Yeah.
So I'm like part of it, which is not something I usually do. But yeah, I've been enjoying that. Yesterday, yes, it was yesterday. I watched the casting of Jon Benet or Jon Benet.
That second one sounds right.
Yeah. No, it is right because I just watched the movie. And that movie is a documentary about the murder of Jon Benet, who was a 6 or 7 year old girl whose parents put her through like beauty pageants and stuff. And I guess like the case of her murder was never quite landed on. But the reason, obviously there's a lot of documentaries that cover this kind of material. But I really appreciated the approach this movie took because it's called The Casting of Jon Benet. The documentary is about them casting the folks who were going to play the people in the documentary for like the dramatization scenes,
Mm-hmm.
So the entire documentary is these recounts of these people's experiences, like hearing the story for the first time, as well as preparing to play the roles of these characters. So there are people who are already trying to get in the heads of the people involved in her murder.
Yeah.
And they all had different perspectives. It was a really cool approach to documentary I've never seen before. So if like you're into that kind of thing, definitely check it out because I thought it was a super cool experiment.
So they were doing they were actors doing reenactments?
Yeah. And the whole documentary is based off of the interviews they did with them.
Oh, that's strange. So everybody gets to study a character. And you just learn this character, and then you learn how all these other characters. And
they like focus in on like 3 or 4 different characters, but then you have like 7 or 8 actors for each one. So you're getting all these different perspectives about what people think happened. It's a super cool approach, and I highly recommend you check it out. It's only about an hour and 20 minutes long.
Okay.
I might suggest doing a little research into the murder itself before you watch the movie because I think that's the one area where the movie falls short is it doesn't I don't think it does a good enough job getting the viewer up to speed on what actually happened.
Right.
It does do that. It's just obviously it's taking a very different approach. So that'd be my recommendation, but definitely check it out. I watched it on Netflix. I also watched To All the Boys I've Loved Before, which was a rom-com, a Netflix original. It was super highly rated, and it's not often that you see a rom-com that's actually rated well.
Yeah.
So I decided to check it out with my wife because obviously she loves that kind of stuff. Um, and it's about a girl who, for like every major crush she's ever had, she wrote a love letter to and like stored it in a box. She never sent them.
Mm-hmm.
She's got like 5 of them, and her sister goes off to college and breaks up with her boyfriend, who she happens to have had a major crush on at some point in the past.
Right.
The little sister sees like how stuck the middle sister is and decides to send all of those letters out to all of the men that she wrote them to.
Uh-huh.
And it just kind of spirals into this thing like, how is she going to handle, like these relationships with all these people, where she has to be like, yeah, I didn't mean to send that. And like how she deals with her feelings and how feelings change. It's a really cute movie. Nothing like super hard hitting, but it's really well made. It's well written. Honestly, it surprised me. I thought it was a good time.
Yeah.
So definitely give that a check out.
And
check
I mean, sometimes like that's all you're looking for, in an experience, is you're just looking for a good time, an easy movie. So
it's definitely like an easy watch.
Yeah.
So definitely give that a chance. Like, I know a lot of people like scoff at rom-coms because they're usually like, kind of cheaply written, but no, this one had some value to it, I think.
Yeah. There are definitely a few rom-coms of note, in the past like decade or two. What's the
I mean,
what was it? I Love You, Man?
I love that movie. That is
Yeah,
one of my favorite movies ever. It became kind of like a ritual for me and my friend Devin to kind of like watch that movie at least like once a year or whenever we got together. Because it's like a symbolization for our friendship. Because I remember with the first time we watched it together, we were like just completely like gut busted. It was so funny. We love Paul Rudd and Jason. So that just kind of became a ritual. And yeah, so now we just kind of watch it all the time together. Yeah, you hit like my favorite rom-com ever.
I was looking for it. I was like, I'm going to push his button.
That was the button.
That was the button.
I adore that movie, and I still hope they make a sequel.
Maybe one day.
But I also checked out some anime. You might know that from the title of this video. But quickly, I'll talk about High Score Girl. High Score Girl is a Netflix original anime based off of a manga, so it's not wholly Netflix original. But it takes place during like the big arcade boom, with like fighting games like Street Fighter 2 and stuff like that. What's cool about this anime is that all of those games are in it, and the main character is a Street Fighter 2 player. And he meets this girl who happens to also be really good at Street Fighter 2. And they just kind of build a rivalry, and it just kind of shows that relationship and how all that plays out. But you also get to see like real footage of the games being played. They talk about like the actual techniques that players used back then. So they'll get into like certain cheap tactics that some players would use, like with Guile in Street Fighter 2 back in the arcade days. It's just like this really cool perspective on arcade culture that I, wasn't around for.
Right.
So like it's cool for me because I get to see it for the first time, but it's also got to be cool for people who lived that. It's just it's super cool. Like they've got, I don't know if they have the licenses to these things necessarily, but it's got Street Fighter 2, Virtua Fighters in there. The Super Nintendo is like a prominent fixture at one point.
Right.
So as someone who loves video games, like this is a super cool show. My only real gripe with it is the CG animation.
Is it all CG?
Yes.
Okay.
And it doesn't look great, but I looked past it because I really enjoyed like the meat of the actual show. Right.
That's been one of the things about like Netflix anime, is a lot of it's that 3D stuff, and
it doesn't look great.
Well, and
it doesn't look bad.
Yeah, and again, these are all different studios, right? So you're gonna get some hits, you're gonna get some misses. But I think for sure, like I've seen some like 3D animated anime coming from Netflix as of recently that looks pretty good. Like I think the anime industry as a whole is kind of coming to an understanding about 3D animation.
Yeah.
And
No,
then
for
how
sure.
to incorporate that, properly with 2D.
Mm-hmm. Uh, my next anime is actually astoundingly good at that. Uh, I went to see Dragon Ball Super Broly on release day, and that movie melted my face off.
Yeah, I mean, you guys kind of freaking out in the Discord afterwards. Like
You
very,
have
very,
Sandman, who wasn't even like a Dragon Ball fan, and he loved it.
yeah. Ugh. I
So
know
that
that
sounds like a
feeling.
similar
I know
experience,
that
right?
feeling. Man, it doesn't matter what kind of context you have. Just watch a little bit of Dragon Ball. Watch a movie and then you'll be like, oh, okay. I guess this is something that I'm watching now. Like it's
this
really just like that.
this movie is so well rounded. It's the best story that a Dragon Ball movie has ever told. Um, it is a huge redemption for the character of Broly, who was not exceptionally well written back with the Toei movies specifically, because Toei, they wrote those movies and they kind of did all that without Toriyama's involvement for the
Right.
most part. I think Toriyama like drew the design for Broly himself, but outside of that, there was no other involvement.
Right.
Broly's character is so much better. It's like so well expanded. Um, there's like really prevalent history of the Saiyans that are told in this movie. Like
Yes.
you spend a long time in the past, a lot more than I thought we were going to.
So it did some pretty significant world building is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, like I feel like I have like such a better understanding of Saiyans and what their culture was like.
Yeah.
It's so good. Just getting to see that firsthand was super cool. You get to spend some time with Bardock, Goku's father,
Mm-hmm.
who also has like a non-canon movie tied to him now.
Right. So they canonized him as well.
I mean, he was canon from the get-go, but
Okay.
Toriyama then went and wrote his own version of the story.
Okay.
So that is now the canon version. Um, you also get to see a little bit of Goku's mom.
Ooh.
Yeah, and also really quick, like you see the parents of all the Saiyans in this movie. All of the Saiyans that matter in this movie, I should say.
Uh-huh.
And you get to spend some time with King Vegeta. And Chris Sabat's like performance of King Vegeta, from my experience, usually was just the Vegeta voice again,
Uh-huh.
but he added some nuance to the performance of King Vegeta that really separated him from Vegeta's core voice. I really liked that. Like, I felt like I had a different understanding of King Vegeta just because of how Chris decided to change the way
Okay.
he performed it.
Really quick. So this movie was dubbed.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's so impressive.
1 month after release in Japan.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
It premiered in Hollywood dubbed before the Japanese version came out.
What an age to live in.
And it's making buku bucks right now.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I hope I can still see it before.
it's still playing.
Yeah.
Please, you will not regret it. Yeah, and that's only talking about things from a story perspective. Obviously, the voice cast is super solid. You can never go wrong with Sean Schemmel and Chris Sabat. They're fantastic at what they
Yeah.
do. But my God, the animation in this movie is unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
It was by far the most incredible piece of animation that any Dragon Ball media has ever had. I would go as far as to say it's one of the best animated features I've ever seen.
Okay.
It's very good. The most eclectic, exciting, unbelievable fight happens on the big screen with just incredible attention to detail. Things move so fast, but like every single frame of animation has so much time and effort put into it that like you don't get lost in what's happening. It just pops so well and it looks
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah,
Every
and
single punch, everything lands.
yeah, man, it really seems like some of the effort they're putting into this movie is, um, it's causing it to, return itself, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, man, they probably spent a little bit more time and a little bit more money, just making sure that everything looked even better. And then they're like, oh man, we're really gonna give this some care. And then you look at what happens. You get a great movie that Dragon Ball fans are excited for. So you've mobilized all the Dragon Ball fans, and then all these people who are like, man, I should get into anime. And then they're like, oh, look, it's a Dragon Ball movie. Let's get into Dragon Ball. You know.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's just doing so well, and all the weebs are out of the closet, man. We're running amok, and we're watching so much anime, and nobody picks on people for watching anime anymore.
My theater sold out
Yeah.
for my showing, and I had the most excited audience I think I ever could have planned for.
Okay.
Like, during some very specific moments, there was just like cheering in the theater, and the cheering lasted so long, like it would go over actual lines of dialogue, and I couldn't hear what was being said.
It's like
These people were
almost a
so
good
excited.
problem to have.
Yeah,
Almost just because it's like, oh my god, like I can't believe I'm having this experience with all of these people in the same room. It's like we are all feeling the same thing.
oh yeah, I loved it. It felt like a huge event, like all these people coming together to celebrate a series they love, the 20th film feature.
Yeah.
The great return of Akira Toriyama screenplays, because he wrote the screenplay, of course.
Right.
Ah, man, I'll tell you this. That movie made me so much more excited for what's coming next than like than anything like since Battle of Gods.
Right.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. When we got there, they were like giving out these little card poster things for everyone who saw the movie that had some artwork and stuff on it.
Yeah.
So super cool. I said I wanted to go see it again. I haven't done it yet, but like every day I'm like tempted to go to the theater and watch Dragon Ball Super Broly.
My roommate apparently, and I will not condone this, and I won't tell you where it's from, but my roommate was watching a online like post, right? Like they had the entire dubbed movie online, and to each their own, right? If you're an adult, like you make those decisions for yourself, right?
You got to support the industry, though.
Right. But, as for me, like my responsibility is to make sure that, I do pay the money and make sure the creators get their dues, right?
Yeah, and doing that also allows these things to happen more often.
Right.
Like
so,
the response to Resurrection F is the reason that this movie happened.
Yeah, and man, it's like Dragon Ball is just... It's like one of those things that like almost never went away,
It did definitely have like a good 10 years of silence.
But at the same time, like even then, like it's still like people are still discovering the show. The amount of people who picked up.
I guess Kai came out around 2008.
Yeah. So just little by little, like people were just like, oh, cool, maybe I should pick this up now. And then obviously Kai makes it so much more accessible because it just cuts out the fat.
And is does a lot more than that.
Yeah. Proves just a lot of
the script
assets. Yeah.
And the dub.
So yeah. It's nice to live now when we get to experience that. And it's nice to live, in a day and age where I was like, oh, I've surely missed all the showtimes near me for Dragon Ball Super Broly. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, there's like 2 theaters within 20 miles of me that have showtimes like tomorrow and
it's still going
on Wednesday.
Hey, I lost a bet to you, so I've effectively paid for your ticket.
Oh man, I mean,
go
I'm gonna
see it
go
on
see
me.
It. I'm not hurting quite as much for money anymore, so that's a good thing, right? Actually, go see a movie every once in a while and be like, okay, cool, still be able to pay rent.
You know, you hear a lot of people saying they're on the edge of their seat. I was like physically on the edge of my seat.
Uh-huh.
I remember there was a point about like it was probably around 35 to 40 minutes into the movie where the thought popped in my head, this is the greatest Dragon Ball film I've ever seen. Yeah, I could talk about it for hours, but I don't want to get into the plot details until you've seen it.
Yeah, man. It'll be soon. It'll be soon. I would be surprised if I haven't at least seen it by the next breakdown. But there'll probably be more discussion in the Discord before that.
And then we can title that episode Brandon and Logan gush about Dragon Ball Super Broly for a good while.
It'll be a sequel podcast.
Yeah. So yeah, that was absolutely 150% the highlight of my last 2 weeks. If that wasn't abundantly clear.
Man, I remember going through the first 99 episodes of Kai and just feeling like I was so powerful. You know, it's the kind of feeling that show instills in like most people, you know. It's why
Goku makes you feel like you can do anything.
Yeah, man. It's just like that one video of that kid and he's going Super Saiyan and he really just kind of like holds his breath.
My
and just,
name is Jalen.
Like, it's kind of the kind of stuff like that. Like, it makes us believe, guys.
When I was a kid, man, we were in the schoolyard throwing Kamehameha at each other. Like, that was the best time.
Yeah. So, I mean, and now there's just going to be another generation of people who have a similar experience just because of its prominence in culture.
I remember when we went to see Resurrection F and you sat next to, like, this dad and his little boy. And you were like, you ready to see Goku fight? And that kid was excited. And
yeah,
he's the next generation of Dragon Ball fans.
Goodness. Everybody, like, getting up into the 30s and 40s even, like, you know, that read Dragon Ball. And,
I mean, yeah. Dragon Ball started in like 81.
Yeah,
it's really old. I was gonna say, yesterday was the Dragon Ball Fighters World Tour Finals. They've been doing like this year-long tour where they had like these qualifier tournaments you had to go to, and if you won a Dragon Ball, and then you took your Dragon Ball to the finals to win the Shenron Trophy. So they had that yesterday. It was really exciting. I watched like the last 4 or 5 hours of it. The reason I brought that up is because they announced some new fighters for the new season pass that they're doing.
Right.
Which features some characters I can't talk about. But they also revealed the Dragon Ball new RPG project.
Action RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so happy that this is happening.
Oh my god. No, I mean, once I heard about it, it's like, okay, it's Dragon Ball and it's an action RPG, and from what I understand, also maybe open world?
It looks like it. We only got like 5 total seconds of watching Goku walk around.
Yeah, but like, oof. I still have a lot of questions, but just the prospect is like absurdly exciting. Like, I want to be Goku. So put me in an RPG setting to do that, you know?
So like the only details we really have are that it's developed by CyberConnect 2, who are responsible for the Ultimate Ninja Storm games from Naruto, which are famous for having awesome like cutscenes, right. Which I think is already like proven just by the cutscenes we got to see in that first trailer. But also that it covers the entirety of the Z story. So like the beginning of the Saiyan saga all the way to the end of Majin Buu. We're getting that much game.
Right. Yeah. My hope is that they do enough to just kind of give us a tool set, and obviously have the more structured stuff, the story beats, of course.
Some side quests, I hope.
Yeah, some side quests, some zany stuff, maybe some stuff that's not even explicitly, you know, in the anime, you know. They have a little bit of freedom to do some storytelling, you know.
There's a bunch of non-canon movies they could just kind of throw little bits in for, you know.
Yeah, man. There's so much potential for this game, and I don't even know where they would start, you know.
It's kind of interesting because like I grew up playing the Legacy of Goku games on Game Boy Advance. The 3 of those games are considered some of the best Dragon Ball Z games ever made. and they are action RPGs, much like the one we're getting ready to get.
Right.
So I'm wondering if this game is kind of made as a tribute to that series, because those games did they did do that. They did incorporate some of those non-canon movies as little extra content. You got to play as Goku, but a few other characters, and you leveled them up individually, and there was equipment and stuff. Like the groundwork's there already. Like if they're looking at those games as kind of a starting point.
Yeah. There's a lot to consider. There's a lot of work that goes into these games, you know. And if it is open world, like we hope it is, like it's gonna take some work, you know. And it's supposed to be coming out this year, so looks
which
like
is wow, hello.
I guess they kept it under wraps for a while, right?
They must have.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, if this game has any ties to One Piece World Seeker, because that game is it's a One Piece action RPG that's open world. So I'm wondering, like, if the development of those two games kind of like coincided or not. I don't know. I mean, this one's developed by CyberConnect 2, and I think the One Piece game is like fully developed by Bandai Namco.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. But CyberConnect 2 being the developer just instills a lot of faith for me, because I love the Ultimate Ninja Storm games. They're really high quality. If they nail the combat and they nail the like exploration and the world's nice and fun to explore, that's all they really need.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you couldn't tell, we're pretty excited about that.
It's man, I've been wanting to be Goku ever since I started watching the show, right? And like,
how come it's taken so long to get a game kind of like this, though?
I don't know.
It feels like it would have been a no-brainer, right?
Yeah. I'm hoping this is just a stepping stone for somebody to come out and make a JoJo open world RPG.
That'd be cool.
Like, and those would be radically different games, right?
Oh, obviously, yeah. I was thinking, Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, often gets shafted when it comes to these kinds of games and when it comes to fandom even.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it, and I was like, an action RPG where you play as Goku in an open world might have actually been better if it had taken place during Dragon Ball, because that whole series is about just the magic of the adventure.
Oh yeah. No, it'd be interesting to see if they what they could be doing. I feel like it's just a safe bet to base it on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
because that's what kind of tickles everybody's nostalgia bones.
The wider appeal.
Yeah, but I think I agree with you on that. Like the original series would be actually probably more.
Konnichiwa.
It just fits,
I'm wondering, like, if this, like you said, this is the safe bet. So do they experiment with this one, and if it's successful, then do they go back and make one for Dragon Ball?
Right. I mean, that's the question. I'm even thinking about like just the way they could structure these. Are they planning on, like, if this does well, that there's going to be sequels? Is
there one for Super at some point?
So I think we're just going to have to wait. I'm excited by the prospect of all this stuff. And until we see more and until I get to play some, like, I might not know. So,
yeah. So hopefully we hear about that soon.
Yeah, but at least it's the possibility, right?
Yeah, for sure. We're talking about games already, but you didn't get to talk about your anime yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, just really quick. I'm continuing watching some of these new shows, these ongoing shows. The Promised Neverland. And then Kaguya-san, Love is War. And they're fun. Love is War is a little more fun than The Promised Neverland. Promised Neverland's a little bit darker in tone. Like,
I interpreted what you meant wrong.
Yeah, definitely more unsettling. Whereas Love is War is kind of kind of tongue in cheek, you know, kind of makes fun of itself, and it's just pretty low effort, but the premise is interesting enough. I this is also a reminder just how much I love watching ongoing anime and just having that episode a week. I remember having that experience with like Kill la Kill. I think Kill la Kill was my first like, okay, I'm gonna watch this every week. You know,
oh, you watched that broadcast? I didn't know that.
Well, whenever they posted it on Crunchyroll, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they'd post like the simulcast, and
right.
Yeah, man, I watched that every week. All however many episodes was it?
26.
Yeah, I believe it was probably about 26. So good length. And I've done that, you know, several times since. And there are certainly other shows that I'm waiting on to start up again. So, I mean, that's where my weebdom has arrived, right? Like, I'm watching these shows weekly, and it's like some of my favorite content to watch. So, JoJo is another one that I watch weekly.
I think it's important to have that thing to look forward to every week. Yeah,
man, it keeps you going. It keeps you going. You gotta do things to fill yourself up. Do things you enjoy. So, I didn't really watch much outside of that. It's been a relatively slow few weeks because I've been a lot busier at work, but you know that has its advantages. So
we're also busier behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a lot of setup, a lot of housekeeping, and it's good though.
Yeah.
But in terms of games, we have been both playing a lot of Smash. I also did a stream the other day for Anodyne 2, which is the pre-release build. You guys can find that on our channel. It was a really mesmerizing experience. It was really fun. It was really magical. Like, there were parts where I couldn't really say much, you know? You kind of just left you speechless. Like, I can't believe that this game did this thing, and it just makes me so happy.
After, like, everything got set up, like, I was planning on watching for a few minutes and then doing my workout for the night. But I was, like, so engrossed with what was happening that I ended up watching the entire thing.
Yeah, it's... Man, they just kind of really nailed the style. It's really endearing. I think they play with nostalgia like just enough. The way the gameplay can kind of calls back to
Zelda.
To Zelda, yeah, in particular, specifically the 2D Zeldas when the parts where you shrink down, you know. Just some really fun, well-designed puzzle solving. And then the fact that like you get to the second area of the 3D part and then you can just turn into a car.
I was not expecting that.
I can't remember like what triggered me, but I was like something like suggested. I'm like, oh wait, so there's roads. Can I drive a car? Do I turn into a car? Is this a racing game? And sure enough, like I turned into like an actual car. Now the question would be, would they utilize those mechanics outside of just being able to get places quicker? And if not, does it really need it, right? Just serving that function. I still have a lot of questions, but man, regardless of the outcome, I'm very much looking forward to this game. And I did acquire a copy of Anodyne, the first one.
The original one. Yeah, so did I.
And I would like to play that. That is probably something that I will play on stream. Because, man, I think Anodyne 2 was a really, really spiritual experience for
it
me
was
here
something
on the
else.
Break Room. Yeah,
like,
it really was.
Oh, my God. Like, you know, when we reached out to them about playing the pre-release, I really didn't know much about the original Anodyne. I just knew that it was like a Zelda-like. And I was like, well, we like Zelda games a lot, so let's give it a shot. And then... Josiah is the one who brought the whole thing to my attention, and he told me like he was having a mini freak out when he found they were looking for people to play the game. And he's like sent it to me immediately, and I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And oh my god, it blew my mind.
Yeah. It's fun being in this position where, like, we spend a good amount of time in any given week looking at the news and looking at game releases, and it's just increasingly becoming a larger part of our lives. And it's really exciting because, like, we're doing some really cool things, and then we get to just play really cool indie games sometimes.
Yeah.
And, like, they just kind of blow us away. It's amazing just how much talent exists out there just waiting to, be refined and just break out into the scene.
Yeah, and we're doing our part to help, expose some of these games. Anodyne 2 certainly needs the help, I think. Because that game is a treasure that not enough people are talking about.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, if that game is just already on its way to success, like, who wouldn't recommend a game that made you feel like that? And how would you not be like, oh my god, I'm going to share this with all of my gaming buddies. I'm going to get up on in this Discord. I don't care what Discord it is. Maybe it's your personal Discord. Maybe it's the Break Room Discord. Maybe it's another channel's Discord. But you're just like, oh my god, okay, I got to discuss. Can I get some feedback? Can I get some people to, like, confirm my biases? Like, this made you guys
That's
feel
what Josiah was
too,
doing
right?
for us.
So,
it was interesting. Like, I remember how quickly, like, I was sold. It's when you were in the very first area inside the egg, and, like, I realized the game was playing out you being born.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, whoa.
They went deep. They were like, okay, you're conscious now. Okay, you got to get out. So you got to do a few things.
You also mentioned we've been playing Smash. We've been doing streams where we just all jump in the Discord server. Link to that in the description. Excuse me. Where we all get in the Discord server, we get into one of the chat rooms, and we just talk and play Smash for a couple hours. Every time is super fun. Everyone seems to have a good time. Yeah, like, honestly, like, just casually hanging out with you guys playing Smash it's been really, like, therapeutic for me. Because it's not always easy to find people to play games with, especially games like Smash Brothers, but just knowing that all you guys are out there and you want to play with us and we have a good time, it warms my heart.
Yeah, you guys are a really agreeable crowd. You guys are easy to get along with. You guys are good sports when we're playing. And I mean, that just makes those experiences, like, that much better. I apologize for gushing a little too much about you guys, but I appreciate y'all. I do.
I apologize for eating on stream, but I am diabetic, and sometimes I have to do that.
Sometimes you gotta eat. Oh, man.
Speaking of games, in a little under an hour, I will be walking home with my copy of Kingdom Hearts 3 and, subsequently disappearing from reality for a while. I'm very excited. So, yeah, the next time we do a breakdown podcast, we'll be talking about, like, Broly getting deep into the story, and I'll be talking about Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, we'll see how much Kingdom Hearts I'll be talking about. I'll be, like, nodding my head and being like, all right, that doesn't make any sense.
Don't worry, I'll be playing the game and I'll be doing the same thing.
Oh,
that doesn't make any sense. I found out today that the game has a 20-minute recap movie that you can watch before you start your file.
Right.
And that whole prospect was just really exciting to me because I've watched, like, 3 videos on YouTube recapping the entire plot just to make sure it's fresh in my mind. And I'm like, well, they built it right into the game. Yeah. I didn't even have to do that.
I mean, it's been how many years since Kingdom Hearts 2?
Since 2?
Came out
I think that was
PlayStation 2.
2005? So, like, 13-ish years?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably important, especially for those who don't want to go back and play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, but they played them before,
I think even Dream Drop Distance was, like, 2011.
Yeah, man.
And that was, like, the last game in the chronology.
Yeah. So, man, it's weird to think how many games are in that series, but like of the main entries, like we just got the third.
And yet every single one of them is important. Even the browser-based video game that was only in Japan.
It's canon. Oh man.
Oh man. Uh, yeah, Dream Drop. Kingdom Hearts 3 or Dream Drop Distance is essentially Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
You might as well call this game Kingdom Hearts 4.
Well,
But
I mean, I guess if you don't mind,
go for it.
just thinking about like games that I'm anticipating, right? So like you are looking to make sure that like you're gonna be putting so much time into Kingdom Hearts 3, and you know there are a bunch of other games that are coming out around the same time. You know, some smaller
Resident
ones.
Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2. I've heard great things about that.
I would have bought it if
the
it like. Or go ahead.
yeah, even playing like the demo, which I didn't finish, it still left a really good impression on me, and you know it goes on the list, right? Like things that if money wasn't an issue, like these are the things I would be playing. I'm also just really excited for Wargroove. That's one I might.
Me too.
Like I'm going to get that, and I'm going to play it. You know, so just
Please do, because I'm so curious about that game.
yeah.
I'm pretty
really
sure.
Spoiled. Like look at all these great games we get to play.
Gaming the last couple years has been really awesome. We're at that point where like Xbox and PlayStation are approaching the ends of their current console life cycles, which means like all the best stuff is coming out for them now.
Yeah.
We're in a renaissance with Nintendo Switch with a bunch of great first party stuff in 2017. Maybe not so much in 2018, but there's a lot to look forward to in 2019 now.
Yeah. I mean, even that being said, like Nintendo's pretty much on track to hit their 20 million, you know, Switches sold. People are like, no, it's not happening. So even if there was like it was the 2018 that was like, meh, like they still nailed it. They still knocked it out of the park.
And I mean, I was only talking from a first-party perspective, and obviously there are indie games and third parties that are really, really doing a solid job helping support the Switch. It's weird. Like I've never lived in a time when Nintendo and third-party support were like, you know, holding hands.
Right. No, they've really outdone themselves, and it makes being a Nintendo gamer that much more valuable, right? Because
It makes being a Nintendo YouTube channel a lot easier.
So, lots of games to play here in the next few weeks. Lots of movies to watch. Lots of things to do.
Yeah, but we did a lot of things in the last 2 weeks. I think that pretty much covers it for today's episode.
I would say that's correct.
And it's not just because I'm in a rush to go to GameStop, but I am in a rush to go to GameStop. I've had a great time here, just kind of vegging out, talking about what we've been up to. Like, despite having to put the breakdown podcast like on a kind of a 2-week cycle, I think this is my favorite show to do.
Well, I think it's like the most relaxed, right? Because we're just talking about our experiences. There's so much value in this kind of conversation, you know? I mean, you know, we've kind of worked it in where we start this podcast just talking about life, you know? Improvements we've made, you know, maybe some struggles but it's always like a little bit of therapy. So kind of brightens us up, and then we get to just talk about things that we enjoy, you know. Who doesn't love to lounge on the couch for a few hours and watch some TV and then be able to I'm going to talk about it by the end of the week like I'm doing research.
I feel like there's nothing worse than like experiencing something in media that's like super cool, you know, like me going to see Broly and then realizing you have nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
I think that's an important part of this show is like we can just talk about even littler things that we did and just gush about it to one another. And gush about it with you guys.
It's really important to have that. And I'm glad that I'm able to find it here. And also with all of you guys in the stream right now. So
yeah. But kind of do some last minute housekeeping. If you are new here and you like what you saw, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the Break Room Arcade for all kinds of cool stuff that we do. We also do a Nintendo focused podcast. We're talking about all the greatest news, updates, and games for Nintendo. Sorry, I just had to let that out. The Nintendo Stuff Podcast, Friday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time, just like this one. And we are anticipating for the third or fourth week in a row that we'll have a Nintendo Direct to talk about.
We're just going to keep anticipating until it happens at this point. It's just a habit. Yeah. All right, guys, it's this week. It doesn't happen. All right, guys, it's this week.
One of these days we'll be right, and then we can say we predicted that stuff.
Yeah, we just have to keep doing it.
Sandman,
will be a Nintendo Direct sometime this year.
Sandman's betting on February 1st. I'm saying 31st.
Yeah,
just throwing that out there.
We'll see. It's but we're coming up on one. It's here.
I hope. Yeah. So, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you want to keep chatting with us, you can follow me on Twitter at Babababs. You can follow Logan at LoggyDubs. You can follow us as a collective at Break Room Arcade for all the updates on what we do here on the channel. In addition to that, there's a Discord server link in the description if you want to become part of the family. Like I said, we do streams where we play Smash with viewers. You can come into the chat and talk with us and stuff. It's a really good time. It's one of our most active channels, is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So if you want to be part of that conversation, make sure to join. We'd love to have you. I think that's pretty much everything.
I think that's it.
So I'll end this show like I end all the shows. Be good to each other, but don't break your backs. Break in the games. But for now, break time's over.
Join us in the Discord.